All right, so now we're looking at the center, blaming the airlines for those long queues. Are the aviation ministry's measures working? What's the border tension in Tawang is the other question, and how is India prepared for a standoff against China? All of these topics we are discussing tonight on this edition of India Development Debate. But first, let's talk about our travel woes. It's peak travel season, but the mood seems to be dimmed because of the long queues at Indian airports. The situation especially bad in Mumbai, and it's even worse at Delhi's IGI airport. The Civil Aviation Ministry is now blaming airlines for these long queues. Airlines have now introduced a slew of measures. They're trying to tackle all the crowding that's happening at the airport, but the question is it all working? And that's what we want to bring up today. But before we get down to the discussion, let's cut across to my colleagues, Prakash and Samir. They have the latest details, the ground report on what's really happening at the Delhi airport. Let's find out exactly the kind of travel woes that passengers are facing.
Yeah, the Parliament Standing Committee has summoned concerned departments, including CEO of the Delhi International Airport, on congestion issue at the airport. Parliament Standing Committee on Transport, Tourism and Culture has called officials on December 15th over the issue. Chairman of the committee, Vijay Sai Reddy, has confirmed that concerned officials have been summoned to get a clear picture on congestion issue due to which passengers are facing hardships. Apart from that, committee will seek details related to action plan that has been prepared to resolve the current situation. Committee may also ask a timeline in which the current situation will be resolved. Airlines are informing passengers to report 3 hours before the scheduled departure at the airport due to heavy congestion at the airport. However, Aviation Ministry has given clear instruction to the concerned department to resolve the current situation as soon as possible.
Delhi International Airport is experiencing high footfalls leading to congestion, and because of which now the airport operator as well as the airlines, they have issued advisory to ease the congestion. Recently, Indigo Airline has released an advisory suggesting the passengers that if you are opting for a domestic flight, it is an Indigo flight, then you are suggested to reach the airport at least 3.5 hours prior to the departure. So this sort of advisory has been issued. Similarly, the Delhi airport has also once again issued the advisory that only one baggage will be allowed as cabin baggage. That will be having a maximum weight of 7 kg. So this sort of advisory has been issued. But yes, if you see the ground reality, you will see that longer queues are there. Passengers have to face a bit of problem. The mega action plan is in place by the Aviation Ministry, which suggests that Delhi airport volunteers will be on ground. They will be assisting the passengers. Additionally, the airlines have been asked to reduce the number of flights, especially during the peak hours when the flights operate between 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. In addition, the number of X-ray screening machines, these numbers have also been increased. The security personnel manpower has also been increased. So a couple of measures have been taken so as to ease the congestion problem. But one more interesting aspect is that if you see the Digi Yatra, the digital initiative, this has been recently launched by the government. So Digi Yatra app is very hardly being used by the passengers. Majorly they are still opting the traditional way of passing through the security point, but the digital initiative of the government, Digi Yatra, is very hardly being used by the passenger. So this is one of the interesting aspects. As the minister has many times, he has been advocating that passengers should be using Digi Yatra app for their convenience. But we hardly find any people using the Digi Yatra service at the airport. Largely, if you see the longer queues, and because of which there is a congestion problem, and the government is trying to ease the congestion problem as soon as possible. But yes, because of which you see that airlines and the airport operator, they are issuing advisory to ease the congestion.
Things that we were looking on the social media, we were expecting a lot of congestion here. But right now, just observing the situation, we think that right now it is little dim that we were expecting. So things are getting easy right now, day by day.
I was really worried about it, whether I would be able to catch my flight or not. But if the passengers are coming within the time limit as prescribed by the guidelines by the airlines, so then they would be very good in a situation so that they can handle all the security checks very well.
Let's put this in perspective. Mark Martin of Martin Consulting is joining us to discuss what's going on as far as our congestion woes are concerned and the pain that passengers are facing. Martin, great to have you with us this evening. How do you think the authorities have handled the congestion issues at the Delhi airport so far? Because these passenger woes seem to continue, don't they?
Good evening, Vikram, and pleasure to be with you this evening on ET Now. We have to understand, Vikram, the key issue here is that the whole intent of having private operators was to take our travel experience and our airport experience to a world-class and world level. Now, clearly, over the last 3 years, that's not happened. And it's the airport operator solely responsible for every single element of managing, running, and overseeing the airport operations. And that includes the processes. From the time you close your car door till the time you board your aircraft, every step is recorded and kept as part of a quality index. This is there in the OMDA, Operational Management Development Agreement, the state policy agreement that private operators such as Dial GMR entered with the government of India. Now, I'm sure you must have been made aware of this. In the parliament, a note has been brought by Ministry of External Affairs that GMR and airport operators have not paid CISF close to 5,000 crores. Now, it is the responsibility of airport operators to pay CISF. The reason, Vikram, we have these queues is because from the 20 security checkposts, we're only running 5 because there's less people, there's less security staff. Why is there less security staff? Because CISF has not been paid. Why haven't they been paid? Well, somebody needs to crack the whip and ask and put GMR Dial on the mat, because guess what? As traveling passengers, as you and I, we pay a passenger service fee, right? We pay a user development fee. Delhi, for GMR, in the case of GMR, Hyderabad and Delhi alone, it's about 6,000 crores a year. That's 450 rupees multiplied by the 55 million and the 1,000 odd rupees for an international traveler multiplied by the total number of passengers. So the responsibility, the onus, the buck stops with the airport operator, and it's not the airlines. The airlines are a user of an airport. In like Europe and the US, as you know, Vikram, each city has at least 3-4 airports. So airlines can fly to whichever airport they want. In India, in Delhi, we just have one. And I think that law should change, because airports and airlines should be able to choose the right airport for providing the traveler the right convenience. So clearly,
what is the reason? Do tell us from your understanding of the current situation, why do you think the buck is being passed on to the airlines? What's the reason for this?
You know, this is purely, as I was saying before, this is purely, Vikram, the responsibility of Dial to maintain that high level of quality index. The reason why airport operators such as Dial is passing it off, because, you know, he hasn't paid CISF. And it is his responsibility to pay for CISF, the other security services, perimeter intrusion detection.
Yes.
He collects the money and he pays it. So this is got to do with the default. And I think perfect timing. External Affairs Ministry came up with the total outstanding liabilities for government security and military agencies.
Yes.
And guess what? 5,000 crores shows up there as outstanding payments to CISF.
I get that point,
airports.
but surely this goes beyond that. From what we are understanding, passengers continue to experience these long waiting hours. Just a moment.
Yes.
And this we are seeing at the country's largest airport, the busiest airport.
Vikram,
it has happened.
yes,
We've seen pictures getting shared on social media, and it's all there. We've experienced it ourselves. Now, the Parliamentary Committee has asked these officials to appear before it on the 15th of December. What, according to you, can be accomplished by this Parliamentary Committee? Do you think that this is more rhetoric, more optics than actual being able to do something? That's my simple question to you.
You know, the Parliamentary Committee is really not going to heed much of results, because again, it's going to be the airport operator would try and pass the blame on the airline, and it's going to be vice versa without even coming up to a solution. The solution, Vikram, is that Delhi should have had a Terminal 4 as what GMR proposed in its master plan. So airport development in Delhi hasn't really shaped up to what was committed by Dial. The second is money that goes to DIAL should have been paid so that passengers don't suffer. The third is airports should have the option to choose an airport it flies to and not be locked and shackled to one airport. Coming 3 hours before, and some of us have to leave at least 2 hours to be there at 3 hours to take a flight which is 1 hour. That's 7 hours gone to take a 1 hour flight. It is ridiculous that we actually have in 2022, the objective is to have world-class airports and we don't. And all that we've seen from GMR today has not even been a single statement, except they've been responding with absolutely very strange directives from the morning, as if they were, yesterday they said they were not responsible, then they said it's the airports who are supposed to do it, and then they made a statement that as far as GMR is concerned, we're only here to develop the facility and the infrastructure. I mean, you're supposed to manage the airport. You manage the OCC as DIAL GMR. So it is DIAL GMR.
But Mark, I need to ask you this. I'm just wondering, with all the woes that we are currently facing, is it time to explore more economical, more time-saving modes of transport? Because look at this. Our team has put this together. From Delhi to the airport, by train could take about 12 hours compared to 8 hours by air. But even with a first-class ticket, which gets you a lot of luxury and comfort and definitely no long queues, you could do it for a little more than half the cost of air travel. Is it time to explore other modes? Are we kind of going after air travel in a way that we really don't need to right now?
Vikram, your finding is absolutely shocking and you're absolutely spot on. It is coming to that point where rail becomes a perspective. But I'm gonna take it up a notch. If DIAL GMR cannot run a professionally managed airport and provide decent services to the Indian traveler, then they need to pack up, ship up, and shift out.
Yes.
Maybe the government should consider giving it to Adani's because they are other operators in the country.
Fair enough.
If that be the case, then the government should take that step by handing over Delhi Airport to a better, improved, competent airport operator, whether it's AI,
We need
whether it's
a more
Adani
competent airport operator is your stance. That point is well taken, Mark Martin. Thank you very much for joining us
Thanks,
with
Vikram.
your
Thank you for
perspective on
having me.
this. It is really a pleasure getting this point of view as far as developments go. Meanwhile, passenger woes continue to weigh in. And of course, we are looking at those long queues with such disdain because obviously there are many other modes of transport that can be bought into, and we're looking at the possibilities now much more than we were in the recent past, especially now with holiday season reaching its peak.